All right, everybody. Welcome. Episode 5 of Whiskey Babble. Tonight's guest, he's actually behind us. You have to watch the video on youtube.com/whiskey-babble if you want to see him back there feeding the horses right now. But tonight's guest is a gentleman by the name of Dave Guzman. And David's a very interesting character. He's a 4-stripe purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, comic book aficionado. He is a dancer of the lines, and that's just at night. He also has a day job, so he's an interesting guy. We decided to have him on. He's an old friend of mine. We figured we could get some good conversations going today, and yeah. So welcome to episode 5 of Whiskey Babble. Let's get rolling here.
You are now tuned to Whiskey Babble.
All right. Hey, Dave. How's it going?
Oh, so we're going now?
Yes, we're live.
Yeah, you can go now.
Yeah.
Ready.
Can we just fix it in post?
Ready
Yeah.
now.
We'll just fix it in post.
Ready now. Ready now.
Okay, good. All right, so tonight's whiskey, or today actually, it's actually 11:30 on a Sunday, and we're drinking, so this is perfect. We actually have this stuff, Wild Turkey Rare Breed, and let's see here. Requested by Dave, you know.
Because I'm a prick.
Yeah, so he wanted his own. What's that thing called again? What do you call it?
A rider.
A rider.
Yeah.
I never heard that term until
Yeah.
Dave told me. I just thought it's like
It's a rock star
We
thing.
you left out the intro, but like.
Oh, yes, that's right. Dave also is a touring musician. I don't know why I forgot that at the intro. I was so stoked on the jiu-jitsu in the comic book. Anyways, so this is a true bold spirit of Wild Turkey has been captured in this authentic barrel-proof whiskey, creating one of the finest bourbons in the world. This is uncompromised Kentucky bourbon, handcrafted and uncut. Rare Breed is a real whiskey legend. Wow.
All I know is.
And you like it, right?
Yeah, all it says is 112 proof, and that's all you really need to know about it.
Hey,
But it's
hey,
good
Dave.
stuff, right? You guys enjoy it? Like
It's really
it
good.
was
It's
worth
really
the
smooth.
purchase?
Oh,
Dave,
yeah.
make sure when you talk, you're actually talking into the mic.
I have to get like up.
Yeah, in the
Oh,
microphone.
yeah.
In the
Shit.
microphone.
Yeah, the whiskey though is real good.
You liking the whiskey?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, no, isn't this amazing?
it's really nice.
Oh, the misters are on.
I know. Yeah, so we're actually getting
Yeah,
on
I
us.
feel
I hope the
this.
electronics aren't, screwed, but we're good.
We'll see.
But yeah, so anyways, you guys, we are actually in a barn right now. We have 3 horses behind us and a burro.
Yes,
Is it-
burro, but Donnie. Oh, like well, I don't know if you can see, but Don Pedro the burro is playing with one of the horses.
He's playing with Red. Red
Yes.
and Donnie, well, Don Pedro are good friends. But
They are.
we got misters going up. We might get some horses shitting if we're lucky.
Yeah.
If we kind of wanted this one to be a little bit of a funny one. So my question to you, Dave, and this is the question that I've been wanting to actually talk to you about for a while now, is what are your thoughts on, I know you're not a DC guy, but what's Batman versus Superman?
Okay, well.
Well, you are a
Batman's-
DC guy. I take that back.
No,
you
no,
like
no. Yeah,
Batman.
I like it all. If anything, actually, I'd say I'm more a Batman guy than than most stuff. The thing about Batman and Superman that's super interesting is you have 2 people at polar opposites. You have someone who's basically a god from another planet who can, has powers and he's morally good, which is interesting. But because he's so morally good and he's never had to really struggle that much with fights, he's really naive about the world. He doesn't have to kill anybody. He doesn't really have to have as much difficulties in his life, because how does Superman solve all his problems? He fucking picks it up and throws it into space. Like, that's the only thing I don't like about Superman.
Oh, that's actually a good point. I never looked at that, huh?
Yeah.
Everything's just thrown at the
Just
sun.
fucking throw it in the sun, throw it in space. And so his problem-solving skills, in my opinion, I know I'm going to get like a lot of flack for this. He's not as interesting to me because of things like that. And he's naive about the world because he feels like he can fix everything with his strength or his powers, right? Then you have Batman, on the other hand, who does not have any superpowers whatsoever.
He's got the greatest superpower, though, money.
Yeah.
Like
he's
him
like
and Tony
really,
Stark are like.
That's right.
Yeah.
And because of that, because he's like mortal and he has, he can't just fling stuff in the sun, basically. He's not naive about the world. He understands you have to be dirty. You have to like have plans on other people. So he's not naive, and in some sense, he's jealous of Superman because if he had Superman's power, he knows he could do all like the dirty right stuff to make the world a better place, and he gets mad at Superman for not doing
So
it.
you're saying Batman is like an any means possible type guy, but he won't kill, right?
Right, exactly. He doesn't do that. And that's the other thing I was going to get to is that's how they're similar, is they don't kill and they want the world to be a better place, but they're just on opposite spectrums of what they view as power and how it should be done.
So it's all like speculation because did you see the trailer for the new movie?
I did.
Okay, so it's all speculation because they haven't released the plot yet. But like in your mind, what do you think the plot?
Well, I don't know about the plot. Well, they're talking about the false god thing with Superman. So what I'm guessing is in that last movie, he destroyed like that city, right? And I think someone like calculated the damage, and it was like in the billions.
Trillions, I think.
So if Batman's alive in that universe, he's sitting there thinking, "You're a fucking idiot. Like, really? Like you could have killed so many people. You probably did kill a lot of people." Batman is someone who won't go into a conflict unless he can win, and he can minimize damage. So what I'm thinking is why Batman is looking so angry, because you see Ben Affleck like all angry looking at like his suit, is he's probably like an older Batman. He's been trying really hard to make the world a better place, and I think it's failing. And he looks at Superman as like I was saying, you have all this power and you're naive. You're like a kid. You're just busting around, breaking stuff. You have no plan. You're just flying in, doing stupid shit.
Because Batman's always cold and like calculated and
right.
Like,
he's probably working like even on an economic level of trying to like get stuff to work. So I think he looks at Superman as a threat because he's afraid this guy is going to destroy another city and how many people he's going to kill. So that's why like they're going to fight. Is Batman's going to actually like looks at Superman as a villain, as a naive child god kind of a thing.
yeah, we got some poop. We got some poop, guys.
Yeah.
First poop of the day.
So that's my speculation as to why Batman. Well, we have to let Jake have his moment.
It's just a funny sound.
Yeah. Oh no.
Now I see a donger. I see a horse dick.
We're gonna feel really small once that thing.
I just saw a big old horse dick just right there in my face.
Don't look it directly in the eye.
What?
Don't look it directly in the
Oh
eye.
God, no, dude! It scared me a little bit.
It's only got one eye, so it's hard to like, not look at. Okay, so Batman doesn't like Superman because he fears like he's gonna do more damage than good, even though it's sympathetic. All I know is too at that ending scene where Batman is wearing armor and Superman's there. That is a complete recreation of I think The Dark Knight Returns, and that's when there's an older Batman who's about 40, 45, and he tried to do the moral thing and not kill anybody, and it didn't work out. Society still went to shit. The government became oppressive, and his friends are all dead or gone or the whole thing. So he comes out of retirement kind of like, you know what, fuck it, I was wrong, and he like kills, he uses guns, he realizes the error of his ways of trying to be moral, and what ends up happening in the end is Superman becomes a agent for the government because they have his daughter. Oh, spoiler alert. I guess I should have.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, or it's like in comic books and people can read it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, go to Wikipedia. Like, I don't know. So the government has his daughter on lockdown, and so he has to basically.
Is Supergirl his daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
And in this version, he has it with Wonder Woman. So.
Gal Gadot.
Yeah, there's a cool scene in the comics too. Is when they bone again in the second one, The Dark Knight Strikes Again, and when they bone, it's like people are sitting there, like earthquakes are happening. There's like tsunamis, and like Batman's sitting in his cave, and he's like looking at the computer. He sees like tsunamis going off, and like he's like, oh, they're fucking. Like he basically does that. And it shows Superman and Wonder Woman like in the air. Like you can't see much because Frank Miller the artist, he drew like shit in it. But they're like, it's kind of artistic because they're like covered in capes and they're flying through the air. They like go through ice and the ocean, and all while they're like
magical.
Boning. Yeah,
that's pretty intense.
Well, there was
she's the only one who could really take that.
Wasn't there the thing from like Clerks or whatever when they're like, I guarantee you, Superman blows his load like a shotgun blast to the back. Like he'd have to wear a kryptonite condom, but that'd kill him. Like it was like this whole big like.
I think it was Mallrats.
Mallrats.
Yeah,
it was Mallrats, I think.
Brody is the one. Yeah.
But for some reason that line, like he'd have to wear a kryptonite condom, but that'd kill him. It's like said with such confidence, like.
But I think Frank Miller got around that because Wonder Woman could take that load.
Yeah, there she is.
You know what I mean?
What was Wonder Woman's superpowers? I don't even know.
You know what? She's like an Amazonian god, and she's almost close to Superman. That she's pretty much indestructible, but she could get beat up if I think the other person is like strong enough. But before we get sidetracked, So
That's what the show's about.
I know, but my nerd is coming out. Long story short, Superman works for the government, and he's the reason why there's no nuclear war, because Russia will say we're gonna nuke you, then we say, well, we have Superman. Fuck.
They try it, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So Batman becomes a vigilante, but government sends Superman after him to put him away. So Batman sets up the whole city to fight Superman. He puts on a suit. He has all these backup plans, these fucked up things. They actually beat Superman.
Yeah, wasn't it? I know the name of the comic, and that's the one where he kills all the superheroes. Batman does. I know the name of that. What was it called?
I don't know about that one.
But it's like showing, and he's holding like Superman's cape in one hand, and he's got like because he has a contingency plan, right, for all the superheroes.
Oh, that's a different comic. We can get into that later.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But long story short, Batman beats the shit out of Superman, and everyone was mad because they're saying, but Superman, he's stronger. Why doesn't he win? Superman's naive. He just thinks he's going to go to Batman. He's going to flick him with his finger and win. And Superman holds back when he fights because he doesn't want to kill Batman. He likes and respects Batman. Batman is so dick. He takes advantage of that. He knows Superman is punching him as hard as he can, and so he uses it to buy time to eventually beat him.
Oh.
So,
How does he eventually beat him?
He synthesizes Krypton in his lab with like over years of money, and he gets a green arrow to shoot him in the back with it, basically when he's distracted.
Oh, there you go.
And then the coolest scene is he's beating
Metaphors.
Superman.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, he's beating
Metaphors
Superman.
right there,
He
shooting
says,
him
like,
in the back.
You're like basically a god and you're awesome. And when you recover from this, you can remember I was like the one motherfucker who beat you.
Oh,
and
shit.
I'll haunt you forever.
Well, okay, sidetracking. Did you see the new Deadpool poster?
Oh,
Where-
wait, I thought that was a fan made one.
With the umbrella?
Yeah, that was fan made, but it was approved by Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, did you see that picture? So you know how like there's all like you know who Deadpool is, right? Break down Deadpool for me in 45 seconds.
Deadpool was mercenary.
Slade Wilson, right?
Wade Wilson.
Wade Wilson.
Slade is someone else.
Slade's his dad, right?
Deathstroke. That's
Deathstroke.
Marvel. Or that's DC.
Oh.
Anyways, he was a mercenary dying of cancer. They offer him the Weapon X program, and they give him Wolverine's healing regenerative factor. But everyone else dies and goes crazy from it. But because he has cancer, it actually accelerates the cancer and it covers his body. But it works. He goes crazy, but he can heal, basically just like Wolverine. But he's like scarred all over his body.
So like he would like to prove like, and he's also like a really big smartass, right? So he would like.
Well, he's insane.
So, but wouldn't it like he would like walk up to people like, you can't kill me, and like he'd shoot himself in the head,
exactly.
and then like get back up and be like, I told you, like I can't die.
Yeah, he's nuts.
But anyway, so there's a new poster. You know how like the Spider-Man posters or whatever, like Spider-Man's flying through the air and it looks all like streamlined and perfect. Well, it's the same thing. It's like Deadpool flying through the air, like whatever, and he's holding like a pink umbrella because that's like
He's
who
like
he is.
falling, like he knows he's gonna like die, but he's gonna come back.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anyways. So he purposely like kills himself and stuff in fights. But I thought didn't he have like some doesn't he have the ability to like learn and mirror? So that's why like he can't be beaten in a fight.
No, that's Taskmaster.
Oh, fuck me, right?
Yeah.
Like
but he can't figure out Deadpool's style because Deadpool has no style because he's constantly just doing random shit.
He just
that doesn't make
fights. He
sense.
just like
he'll be
there's
like
no-
fighting and then he'll start like dancing and shit, so you don't really know what he's gonna do.
What about your thoughts on the new? I was reading up about Ultron and like it's actually really interesting. Did you like? What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know much about Ultron the character, but I know it's gonna lead into Marvel's Civil War where the government wants to register heroes because a hero does something and like 400 people die. And the people pass a law saying we want heroes to be basically law enforcement. Like, we want to know your names and you get a paycheck. Iron Man fights it, but after the law passes, he goes for pro-registration. So he thinks all superheroes should do that.
That because he's getting bankrolled by the government, so he can't.
Well, he thinks he's more so, you know what, this is what the people want. It's democracy. If they want us to register and our identities be known and us to be law enforcement, it should be done. And so him and a lot of heroes go that way. And Captain America says, you know what, like, this is my right to do it as a, like, vigilante basically, and he doesn't want that done, so he goes anti-registration with some of the other heroes. So it's actually Iron Man and superheroes versus Captain America and superheroes. But on top of that, some of the villains go, you know what, like I can get a paycheck and I still get to like wreck people for the government. Why not? So villains go with Iron Man and they work with him, and obviously some villains don't want to be registered, so they work with Captain America. So you have villains and heroes on both sides teaming up.
And I think it's crazy too how they've already planned out, like you can look at a timeline for when all the next movies are going to be released, like with the Infinity Stones and shit. I'm gonna get shit for forgetting his name. What's the Thanos? For
Yeah.
Thanos getting the Infinity Gauntlet and like it's all the movies. Have you seen it yet?
Mm-hmm.
It's like through 2020. Every like year they're gonna release a movie or two.
Yeah,
It's insane. And then like
I think the Avengers as a whole are going to deal with Thanos, and then I think in Captain America and his own movie is going to be the Civil War thing, which is interesting because Iron Man's going to be an enemy.
basically, right?
Yeah. The one funny thing about the comic about Civil War is the Punisher ends up getting roped into Captain America's side because Captain America captures him and says, "You're going to work with us and be non-lethal." So he walks into a room, and Captain America points out these 3 like villains who aren't that big. And he's like, "Oh, this is like blah, 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 blah. They're on our side." And Frank goes, "Oh, okay." He pulls out a gun and just like shoots all 3 in the head because he didn't understand that like they were. He just can't understand like, oh, the bad guys are our allies kind of. So he like killed them and Captain America beat the shit out of him.
Captain America's like, no, bro. Like,
Cool,
we have a misunderstanding here. Like,
But I was like, Frank was just like, oh, like register it for a second, just bam, just wasted him. So
yeah, I'm excited for the new Avengers movie. I want to see Hulkbuster armor.
yeah, that'll be. Cool.
And like I thought, like did you see the new preview where they're actually talking with Ultron? And like Ultron's like, well, first off, James Spader is like the actor that does the voice of Ultron.
He's
he always
creepy.
plays like creepy dudes.
Yeah.
He's a great actor. And but he's he's having a conversation with Iron Man like it's a person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in that new preview, I like how they do the Hulkbuster ammo where he's got the armor, where he's got the thing hovering, and like every time a piece falls off, like
just
a
comes
new
back on.
piece
Yeah,
comes and like
yeah.
regenerates, and like wasn't you telling me though like Hulk's the greatest superhero?
Yeah, I mean, like it takes the entire team of like heroes and stuff to put him down, and usually they can't. So I know the Hulkbuster armor is probably going to lose because I mean Hulk just gets angrier and bigger, and he just regenerates.
Yeah, isn't that like he like Red Hulk, right? Where he turns into like
I think Red Hulk is someone else actually. I'm not too big on Hulk. I don't know, but I think it's someone else. Like the general who created Hulk ends up becoming Red Hulk.
oh, interesting.
What was I
Comic
gonna say
books.
about?
I
my
love
favorite
comic
thing
books, man. You know what's crazy is that I tried to get into them. Dave actually gave me some. I still have them, and I should probably give them back. I have like
That's
your,
cool.
your
No, I've
Dead-
read those like 100 times.
your Deadpool comics and shit. But it's like it's crazy because I start getting going on it, and I fall down like the rabbit hole, and it's like, oh shit, I'm in House of M now. Like where am I going? Because it's a completely different universe, and like one guy in 1 year there could be like 5 different universes depending on who was writing about Superman that day, and like whatever.
Well,
so
here's why I think we like comic books is they're basically our mythology of our time because our heroes represent all the qualities that we like, right? So when people like Hercules back in Greece, he represented everything they liked and he embodied that, and you could teach morals through that. I feel the same way about comics, and I think in hundreds of years, people are going to look at our comics not as they were our religion like they were for ancient Greeks, but like this is what this. Hey, Cowboy. This
we got horses breathing at us.
He agrees with me on this.
There he is.
Yeah. I think they'll look at our society hundreds of years later and think, oh, like this was Batman. Why did people like Batman? Oh, he had a dark side. He had no powers, but he still did this absurd thing of trying to fix the world.
And I was like, I don't know who I was listening to. It might have been like either Kevin and Bean or Rogan or someone. But he was like, man, I watched the freaking Superman Batman trailers, even all the Batman, and I get bummed out. He's like, but then I watch the Avengers trailers and I get happy again. And he's like, they found like a hat, like, you know what I mean? Because like that's like that different world and it's dark and it's
Avengers and Marvel tends to be a lot more, like you said, action oriented and not as
like
deep.
jokes in here and there and stuff like that.
Right.
And
Iron Man has a dark side. He's actually an alcoholic. They kind of showed it, I think, in the second one or third one. But he's pretty dark. But Batman and Superman together are so interesting because they're so different, but they have a mutual respect for each other. They have a love-hate, almost like brothers. And there's a dark side to both of them. They bond because both of them are alienated in a world. You know, they both lost their parents.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
They were doing that on the Rose to Justin Bieber.
God, that was so funny.
Yeah, but there's like that joke where he said like, yeah, you have something in common like with Superman and Batman. It's like, you know, you lost your dad or something like that, and your mom. It was like some weird joke about that,
but it's true.
But yeah. So okay, so switching topics here. I think we'll probably come back to comic books later. But what only because I'm interested about it. Like what was like tour life like? What were your how many bands were you in? You're in 3 bands, right?
I would say like
Dave,
2 bands.
Can I get you to pull the mic?
Oh, pull them on closer. I'm
Thanks,
sorry.
buddy.
This rare breeze hitting me.
Ooh.
No. I was in, I would say, I can't remember, 2 bands that were like my band, but I would play for a lot of other people for money. And usually how it goes is
You're like a prostitute.
it's pretty close to
Yeah.
A musical
they give you
prostitute.
money, they leave money on the dresser, and they
In the
just say,
morning, and
"Yeah,
they leave."
Do it just like this. Yeah. Well, to understand touring, you have to understand what it's like to be in a band, and the best way I can equate it is you're dating dudes. So if I'm in a band with like
that's
3
a
other
little weird.
guys, it's like a relationship.
Sounds about right.
No, because you have to learn their tendencies. You have to learn what makes them tick, what they like. You have to know when to say certain things. Basically, you have to know, how to deal with them. And it's so gay when you start a band. And I don't mean gay as in like a derogatory sense. I mean gay as in like it's like homosexual. Like because like let's say I want a guy to join my band. I'll go to his show and I'll watch his band play.
Hey,
what's going on?
you
Hey,
look good up
Dave.
there.
Yeah, I really like your style, man. I really like what you do. I feel the same way, and like I feel like these guys don't appreciate you as much as I would. And like you and I can make something beautiful
Let's
together.
go tug. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And so you have to be coy, and then let's say that guy joins your band, then you have to deal with the jealous exes of like, oh, like you left my band, like this guy is like nothing, like we had something special, So
speaking of this, I'm gonna sidetrack here, but Laura, we got some pigeons up there.
yeah,
There's
sounds
gonna
like
be
some bitches.
there's
When
gonna-
pigeons attack.
Dude, there's gonna be so many strange sounds on this podcast. I love it. That's why I think we have to explain it because people be like, "What the fuck is that noise in the background?" I was like,
Yeah.
"That's just a horse. Like, don't worry about it." But no, Laura was asking me, dude. So Dave and I, a little backstory. Dave and I have known each other since freshman year of high school. We went to an all-boy high school together, and so Laura and I last night. We were watching Into the Woods. It's whatever, and I was drinking.
That was your,
and
it was your choice. In movies,
kind of.
right?
I'm not.
Wait, what's Into the Woods?
It's
Is
that
a
one.
show?
It's a Disney movie, but it's based off of like all of the old like the
Grimm fairy tales.
Grimm
Okay,
fairy
okay.
tales. It was actually pretty good. But
Anna Kendrick's in that, right?
yeah, Anna Kendrick. Laura's like, now I know why you wanted to watch it, and Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt's in it too.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Emily Blunt.
Speaking of those two, have you guys seen the show Lip Sync Battle?
No.
Oh, it's pretty funny.
I saw that like on the YouTube preview.
Well, Jimmy
okay.
Fallon started that, didn't he? Where they would do the lip
Now
sync
it's its
battles.
own show, and
Oh,
it's hosted
God.
by.
They'll put anything on TV, dude.
yeah,
Just like,
it's pretty
ow, my
shit
balls.
now.
We talked about that,
Oh,
dude.
let's go in there, man.
We talked about
Yeah,
fucking Idiocracy on the last podcast.
Okay.
Matt's never seen it. I'm surprised he didn't go home and watch it. Yeah, dick. But
You still haven't
Yeah,
seen
in
that
all
movie?
my infinite amount of spare time.
bro,
Did you guys talk about the social theory as to why it degraded into that eventually in Idiocracy? Like the
with
intro?
intelligent people not.
procreating
procreating
much?
and,
That's
like-
like a real thing that people think is possible.
Yeah, we know it is. That's why we
Yeah,
talked about it
that's
on the
crazy.
podcast.
Yeah, okay.
The last guest was like a science guy, so
Oh,
he
there
so
we
he
go.
was kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
breaking it down. But I was like, what? No, my brother's tarded and he's a pilot,
He's a
so
pilot, cool.
so you're fine.
Yeah. So according to this, your shit's all fucked up.
Dude, so he goes to the doctor. Hey, Matt, he goes to the doctor, and the doctor's looking at his charts, right? And in the future, cigarettes look like cigars, like, and that's a regular cigarette. Like, so he's like smoking this cigarette. So the doctor's looking at his chart, and he's like, okay, so according to this, your shit's all fucked up. And that's like his medical analysis. And he's like, and you're a little tarded. And he's like, but he's like, but it's cool. Like, my brother's tarded, and he's a pilot, so like. And I like how like they show like the landscape of the city, and like buildings are falling over, but they're held together with like big like bungee cords, like are holding the buildings together,
putting them together and stuff.
Yeah, we were talking about how brilliant Mike Judge is.
Oh
like,
yeah, he's
how ahead of his time he was. But
really
like,
Hold on, before Into the Woods, you were talking about you're watching Into the Woods.
oh yes, okay. So we were watching Into the Woods, and she asked me straight up. She goes, "Do you think you would be as comfortable in your sexuality if you didn't go to an all-boys school?" And I was like, "I don't think so. I really don't think so." And she's like, "Well, why?" And I was like,
There's no way.
You learn to appreciate women.
well,
that's
not
for
just
sure.
that, but it's like you have to understand. Somebody's gonna come up and grab your dick. Somebody's gonna come up and try to put a finger in your butthole if you're just walking down the hallway. And like if you fight it, it's just gonna be 10 times worse. So it kind of like you know what I mean? And like it's just a way to. I see you thinking of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking interesting. Like, I wonder if it's an insecurity thing. Like, why do guys have to act gay with each other to build camaraderie. Yeah, at the same time, they're not gay.
Just a heads up, Dave has a degree in psychology, so
Well,
that's why.
Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting. And you know how we could tell who was gay and who wasn't? Is the guys who reacted like the most violent or angry towards that kind of stuff.
The dudes that got fired up, like they'd come up and grab your ass, but hey, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Like, and you know, they come up and grab my ass, but I'll give you an hour to stop that, bro. Like, you know, and then
they were always the strange ones and who later I've heard things about. So I always think like, why? I don't know. It's just interesting, right?
yeah, but she was asking me that because I was like, I'm not gonna lie, because Chris Pine is the main prince or whatever. And I'm like, Chris Pine's a good looking guy. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can say a guy is good looking.
You can say a guy's good looking.
And it's not.
You know what happens to me though? You know, you always have your friends who are girls who are always like, hey, like hook me up with the guy, like, you know, send me out someone. So I'll pick out a guy who I think is good looking, like, oh yeah, you know, so and so a good looking guy.
And
right?
you've been riding Macklemore for a while.
I think that horse just fucking
spit all over you.
sneeze all over me.
Yeah,
That
he did
long
that.
ago?
He
That's
did
long
that
ago.
earlier
That's
to me.
long ago, yeah. And I'll be like, yeah, that's a good looking guy. Then I'll bring him to a party or bring him with a girl. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah, so here's like so-and-so, right? And she'll be like, yeah, he's taking gas or whatever. Like, oh, no. And then she'll point to the most Cro-Magnon looking motherfucker. a guy to me who
Like
looks,
club her over the head and take her back to his cave.
Like big, you know, big eyebrow, like big jaw, like looks like he's like fucking figuring out how like a hammer and a nail work. And she'll be like, oh, that guy's fucking hot. And I think it's because as guys, we look at, like, I think that guy that I try to set her up with has feminine qualities.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I find.
We're getting into this. We're getting into this.
Real quick before I get too sidetracked, I did a study. We had to pick some like touchy subject to do in psychology. So it was evolution. It was evolutionary psychology. Okay, Pedro and Red are
Hold
at
on.
each other's faces.
I don't want to
to
get kicked in the dick by this horse. So can I like?
Pretty sure Jake's about to have a bad day.
Pedro just forced him out, and so we're gonna see.
See, if you
Okay.
get kicked in the face by a horse, you're gonna have a bad
gonna
time.
have a bad time for sure.
Yeah, so the donkey and the horse are having a little bit of a lover's quarrel.
Well, the interesting about donkeys that not a lot of people know is people turn them out with their horses and they bond really easily. Horses can't really fight that well for themselves, so if coyotes come, they just kind of run and they can kind of like kick, but they can't do much.
Is
Donkeys
it because they
fuck.
don't have opposable thumbs?
Maybe.
They can't use weapons. I don't
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, all right. I'll agree with that. But donkeys are they're not very mobile, so they've had to learn how to fight, and they can fucking kill wolves, coyotes, anything. So you turn out the donkeys with the horses, and they'll fuck like anything up that.
So
comes
they're
outside
like
herd.
outsourcing their fighting to the donkeys.
Yeah, but they
donkeys are like
bond.
bodyguards.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And they bond. And so a
Private
lot of times when
security.
you're like,
What?
They're the private security.
Yeah,
of
interesting.
the livestock world.
And then but so when you're riding with horses, sometimes they see a donkey and they just want to charge and hang out with that donkey because they've associated like, oh, that's my friend, my protector.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
why they're like playing around.
So back to what we were talking about. Yeah, because like Laura and I will be watching a movie, and like she'll be like okay, straight up, like Jake, do you think that guy's good looking?
Right.
And I'll be like, yeah, it's a good looking guy, and she'll be like, yeah, I don't find him that attractive. But Zac Efron on the other hand, and I'm like,
he looks like a little like he looks strange to you or something, right? Like you can't.
like I don't think as a male. As a heterosexual male, I do not think Zac Efron is like a good-looking guy.
No, I
Now,
agree.
Dave Franco, on the other hand, because those are Laura's two favorites. She likes Dave Franco,
Who's Dave Franco?
James Franco's little brother.
Oh, see, that's someone I would like a girl would point to. I'd be like, that fucking guy.
I think that's a good-looking guy.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so.
But Zac Efron on the other hand, I'm like, nah, it's not.
I don't know.
But then she thinks my taste in women, like I think Khaleesi from Game of Thrones is the most beautiful human being on this planet.
Is that the one with the white hair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Amelia Clark is her name. Wow, I just pulled that out. But like, I'll be like, yeah, Amelia Clark and like Scarlett Johansson. Like, I'm like, they're beautiful, and she's like, really? She's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like,
And all of a sudden, she's like, does she get upset because now she thinks like she?
I've heard that too. Like, well, I look nothing
Yeah.
like them. I'm like,
Yeah,
well, I look nothing
yeah.
like Zac Efron. So
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
what do you?
Yeah, always
How
the
do you
girl
think
man.
I feel?
Yeah, like so. But I think it's just all women and men and women are like that. You know what I mean? If you say you find someone attractive, like yeah, okay, that's a good-looking person, but obviously she's chosen. obviously she's chosen to be with me, so it's not like I have to worry about it.
Well, that's
you know
what I think
obviously.
too. But they start to think like, if you name a girl who has big boobs, let's say, and then she doesn't have boobs, it's like all of a sudden you've started war.
Oh
like,
yeah,
anybody.
anybody.
You know what I mean? Or inequality.
Any quality at all. Like she's got beautiful eyes. Well, I don't have those eyes. It's like, oh shit.
You see your next 2 weeks just like planned out. Like, okay,
go to work, keep my head down. Looks like I'm gonna be eating McDonald's a lot.
A celebrity that looks like the girl, and then say that's my new crush, and then
God, who looks like my?
Okay, I'll go with that.
But
real quick. So I did a study about as evolutionary psychology, right? I know you'd find this interesting. Why do guys rape other guys in jail, right?
Dominance.
Well, there's more to it, and because from an evolutionary perspective, why would someone who's a heterosexual male even want to stick his dick in there?
Because it's all about procreation. Like we have ingrained procreation. That's why men find women with like big butts attractive. And like stuff like that because.
But still, it doesn't make sense. Like you're sticking your cock into another guy's butt. I mean, a baby's not going to come out.
Exactly.
So when I did research into it, someone had already done the research, obviously, and what I found out is.
Did you cite your sources?
At the time, I can't remember them right now.
Did you go into turnitin.com? Like
no. My job was to find research, bring it back.
So you had it easy. That was easy.
Well, yeah, I can't go fucking to a prison and run my own research on this stuff. I mean, I'm a fucking college student.
Why not?
Really?
I'm just asking. This is honest
because that wasn't what the assignment was.
Okay.
And if it required that much effort,
I accept
I
that
wouldn't have done it.
answer. Pretty sure I would have quit.
Yeah. And they found out that all of the guys the majority of them, like 80% of the guys who get raped, have feminine qualities. They're not big.
Well, yeah, it was guys. Like in that what is that Adam Sandler movie, The Longest Yard, where he's like, what's his name? The black guy. He's a comedian. Whatever. Yeah, but he's dressed as a girl in prison. You my boo too, girl.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh.
David Allen. No, not David Allen.
Not David Allen Greer. And that's
Tracy Morgan.
That's racist that you think that.
No, Tracy Morgan. Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, Tracy Morgan.
But yeah, so they all have feminine qualities, and so even it made sense from an evolutionary perspective. I think it wouldn't. I didn't think it would, but it did. So even when they're looking for someone to use to dominate, they have to have feminine qualities. It's just about the urge. The domination urge, but they're not like finding another big strong guy to do it to. The guy has to be feminine as possible.
Interesting.
Which is interesting.
But wasn't it like in Greek culture too, and like even in Roman culture, wouldn't they try to do it as it were? We're listening as an explicit podcast, so when they they wanted to screw like the strongest men, right? Wasn't that like a sign of they felt like that made them powerful
because they got their spirit or something from that other person. I think it was like a bonding. It made them stronger. Yeah, it was like a bonding experience. I know like the Spartans would think it would make them better warriors.
That's what's funny. Everybody was like, oh yeah, 300. Like those dudes are badass. I'm like, they were all screwing each other, right?
And you know what? I thought that was supposed to be kind of implied with like the way they dressed and acted.
There was very like
they didn't care about women.
But there was very stuff where like he'd walk up and he'd be like,
Yeah,
it's like, whoa.
But here's the thing. I was told that even in Greek culture and all that too, if you were the guy getting it, like you were the receiver, you were kind of like still kind of viewed as like the feminine one. Like, so if two buddies were talking and be like, oh yeah, I always like plug him in the butt, they would like giggle about it. Like, oh, he's the girl.
But did you watch Spartacus at all?
No.
The show?
Arrington told me, like, oh, watch Spartacus. It's a great show. So I'm like channel surfing. I go to Spartacus.
Dude.
And one dude's blowing another dude. I was like,
it's a really like, hey.
I was like, I'm not watching.
Like, okay, straight up.
That's the scene you flipped into.
No, straight up. Hey, Matt, it's one of the most graphic shows I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. And but that's how it was, which is why like I'm okay with it. Like my mom tried to watch it and she watched one episode. She's like, I can't watch this shit. But like it was weird because like the dude that like owned all the gladiators, because gladiators were slaves, and the guy that owned all the gladiators would like pick the strongest gladiator to like come have sex with him. It wasn't, but it was like a sign of like power. It wasn't like how we look at it today. You know what I mean? It's
we're not like talking with our hands. There's a lot of fucking flies.
Yeah, we're not. I got a lot of flies going on here.
Oh, there's tons. They're all.
And now we got a dog.
We got big old piles of horse shit. So
we got a dog under us too. I think it's Franny.
It might be Franny.
Yeah. Okay. This is the first and last time we do it.
In a barn. In a barn. But it's good. It adds to it.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have like the most definitely like diverse locations of our podcast when it comes to like people watching the videos like, what the hell?
We got horse shit already.
Okay, so back to touring.
Okay. Right. So I was telling you about how I have to explain that dynamic. So it
makes sense.
Yeah. And the funny thing too is when you kick someone out of a band. So like you give them a call like, hey,
man.
Was
it me? It's not me. It's
no,
you.
I swear to God, it's like that. You're like, it's not. You know what? Hey man, it's not working. He answers the phone like, wow, I can't wait for like the show this weekend. It's like, yeah, about that. It's not working out. Like, what do you mean it's not working out? Like, I just feel like you're not meshing with the band. You're not giving as much commitment. Blah blah blah. And then it's always like, I can change.
You feel distant.
Yeah.
You feel distant.
I can change. You have those talks and like, I can change. We've already found somebody else.
That's a big one.
Oh, there it goes.
There it is right next to me.
It's pretty dry. See how that one's more wet? This is more dry, so I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, I saw the pink tube sock.
No, that's not. Yeah.
I got breathe through my mouth, guys. I breathe out. That one reeks.
Oh my God. Oh, it just hit me.
Yeah. It's like an uppercut.
Sweet Jesus. Oh, it's so bad.
Oh my God. Whose my eyes are watering.
Whose idea was it to record in a barn?
I'm breathing through.
Trouble.
But dear God, can we maybe pick that up?
There's no way.
I'm breathing through my mouth. I can't do it.
It's so bad.
I can maybe text my mom. Maybe she can come show me.
Mom, I got some shit.
Yeah, we're trying to talk, but
I got some shit for you to
trying to like breathe in concrete right now. That's what it feels like.
I
can taste it.
That's gonna be. I can't wait to hear that back. Like it's gonna be great.
That is some fucked up repugnant shit. Right? Okay.
Oh my God.
Now there's more flies.
Oh God.
All right. So yeah, you're trying to kick someone out of the band. It's like breaking up with someone. So going on tour is like going on a trip with like imagine 3 girlfriends with different personalities. So some people are hyperactive, some sleep a lot, and so that can cause drama. But it's really like you're trying. You can't even focus now. Okay.
I'm listening. No, we're good.
Okay,
good. I'm breathing through my mouth.
Yeah, we'll get used to it eventually. Yeah. It's like
I don't think that's something I want to get used to.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait.
Yeah. It's a bonding experience. You definitely feel closer to the people you go, and just the great stories you have every night. Because every night you're in a different city, meeting different people, different adventures, and every night something cool happens. It's a bonding experience. But it's like you're a traveling band of gypsies because sometimes you're crashing with these people. Sometimes you get a hotel room. Sometimes you have to sleep in the van. And the first week's always the toughest, first maybe 1 or 2. And then you get used to not showering, And then it's just part of life.
What is it like? Okay, so like maybe you don't have an answer for this, but what was like the draw back in like the beginning days of like, the big rock bands and stuff like that? Like why the hell would they trash places? And like what was like just because they could or what?
Well, because here's the thing.
Heroin?
Yeah, drugs.
Well, heroin kind of like put you down, but all the creative people
just a sidetrack here. Dave wasn't fucking kidding. Like I can breathe through my nose now. Like
you get used to it. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like less because his asshole's actually closed or something, but like you just get used to it.
Desensitized.
Yeah. I know a lot of the creative people I know are crazy. Like the more creative you are, the more lonely, depressed.
What was what's his nuts, dude? Spector. What was his first name?
Phil Spector. Exactly.
Phil Spector. Like, did you watch that movie about him where he like?
Yeah, but that movie's all bullshit.
You think so? Really?
It's completely bullshit. That was totally like a pro Phil Spector. He fucking did it, and whoever wrote that, like the victims' families were fucking pissed and went to court over.
Well, they were talking about like how they're saying like she was loaded and she was dicking with the gun, and then like whatever. So did you see it like when they were interviewing for the jury? And they had this person put a fake gun in their mouth and their finger on the trigger. And they were talking to the person and they yelled at him and the trigger was connected to a light. So if the trigger was pulled, the light would go off.
Okay.
So yeah, but there's so much history before that about how Phil Spector was. And Leonard Cohen did an album with him, and he said it was a culture of gun. He said you couldn't eat a sandwich without finding a fucking gun in it. There's people, bodyguards, everyone had guns while they were recording. A violinist messed up a track, and he pulled a gun out on the violinist. Like, I will fucking shoot you if you don't do what I want. I mean, the evidence is so on the side that Phil Spector did it. I hear someone peeing.
Don Pedro.
I think Pedro's pissing.
We got a donkey piss going on.
Is that coming in on the audio?
Oh, it will.
Oh, yeah.
When we were it sounds like because in the last podcast I noticed. Remember the water kept running. It's like somebody turned on a hose.
That's exactly what it is.
Big old horse dick. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, buddy.
So yeah, Phil Spector definitely did it. I mean, it's pretty much I would say so. Yeah. So the reason why they trash rooms is you have these really creative, crazy people who are lonely, and the thing is, people think when you're touring that you're seeing new stuff all the time and that like it's interesting. A lot of times it's the joke.
You're only there for like X amount of time.
Right. It's called the joke is hurry up and wait. So the promoter says get here by 5. You have to be here by 5. And he's only telling you that because every other band is like 3 hours late. So you get there at 5. It's like, oh, well, actually check-in's at 8. So you don't even really get to see the city sometimes. I'm just chilling in a bar, an empty bar for 3 hours, just trying to kill time before we have to do sound check. So a lot of rock stars, they go crazy because the places change, but the hotel rooms all look the same. A lot of the venue backstages look the same. So what do when you have nervous energy? You just thrash shit, and they know that's going to get taken care of. But what a lot of people don't know is that I think that ends up coming out of their own paycheck because they pay for their own tours. That's not like a record company.
Well, when we were drunk at Stagecoach last year, we talked about I don't know if you remember it. It was when Mike was cooking his gray meat and
alien
and
meat.
we were talking about
the alien meat. Yeah,
the alien meat. And sidetrack, our buddy Alpha Male, right?
That's codenamed the judge or
Alpha Male, the judge or the Alpha Male. Yeah. He throws some meat on the grill, and this meat did not look right. It was gray meat, and it looked like an alien.
But he was fucked up.
Yeah, and he was also like I'm a man. Like this meat is fine, and we're like, all right, man. Like if you say so, and then like everybody ended up getting sick from the meat.
Yeah. Well, he just ate it. But the thing is, too, what's funny is he was so messed up, he thought the meat was on there for like 20 minutes, when in actuality it only been on there for 5.
Oh, yeah. Who was it? Like, wasn't it Dave Attell that's like, some people call it blacking out. I call it time travel.
He seriously time traveled. It's very true. So, yeah, he thought it's been on there for 20 minutes, but he dozed off and woke up and thought 20 minutes had passed. So it was already bad meat that's only been on there for like 5 minutes. So, she's calling, this dog's going to come running up.
Oh, she's calling the dogs?
She's whistling the dog, yeah.
What were we talking about? Oh, so yeah, you and I talked about that, and you actually taught me a bunch of shit that I didn't even know. That like, basically, like the bands get paid, and it's like they owe the record label. It's like they're taking a loan from the record label.
That was how it was back in the day. Yeah, they would say, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong on this. I don't know if exactly this is what I was told.
We don't have any Wi-Fi, so I can't Google fact check Dave. But
exactly.
It makes for a fun show. You guys Google it and leave us comments about how we're assholes. I don't care.
Let me know what I don't know and what an amateur I am, because I agree. I think back in the day they would say, you're signed to our label. Here's so and so amount of money to make a record. But that money is on loan, and basically the record, after the record's made, they pay for it. They own the record, and then that's when they go like make money on it, and then you have to pay them back the money they loaned you. I think this is like 60s, 70s kind of stuff, and a lot of bands who weren't ultra successful ended up in debt to the record company. That's why a lot of these 80s rock stars are all like in debt, because the tours cost more money than they're pulling in. They were saying, I want this big stage show, and like, let's trash the room. That all came out of their pocket. The record company's not just shelling money for tour and this.
For people to be idiots. They're like.
Yeah. And so I think artists only made like a couple pennies for every record that was sold, and that's where the company make their money, where bands are supposed to make their money on tour selling shirts.
Well, do you think, like, because you've been in the music industry, do you think that, like, excuse me, this whole idea of like iTunes and everything is ruining record companies?
Yeah, but it's almost like karma, because they used to like.
It's like fuck them, right?
Yeah,
like, you guys are jerk offs.
Over so many artists back in the day, and because what did they have back then that artists didn't have? Connections. They knew the radio stations, which was how you got
payola, right?
Exactly. They had all that. Now you don't need that. Now I don't have to listen to what's on K-Rock. I can just go to Spotify or look up anything, any kind of alternative radio. So every power that they had is basically.
What's the? Do you know what the percentage is for iTunes payout for an artist?
I don't know exactly. A lot of them charge $1.29, and that's the way that they can end up getting $1 per song.
Yeah, I want to say it's a decent percentage that.
Much
Apple,
higher.
Apple doesn't take much of a cut.
Yeah.
Like they take a cut, obviously.
Well, they're fine. Apple doesn't need to make money. Obviously, it's not in a business's right mind to go, okay, hey, we made $100 million last year. let's try to shoot for 100 million again. You know, they want to do. I want to
say it's tipped in the artist's favor, which usually it's not. Usually it's tipped in the company's favor.
Because here's the thing too, dude. I was listening to, I don't know who I was listening to, but they were talking about like that's where this world is going. And when it came to like piracy and the artists and stuff like that, it's like, okay, look, would you rather make $10 off of one artist, or would you rather make $50 off of 50 artists? Yeah. You know what I mean? So you get the artist in there, you give them a little bit more than you would, and guess what? You're going to keep getting more and more artists.
Exactly.
But it was also like the forward thinking of, you know, this whole idea of like piracy, right? Mm-hmm. And how a lot of people out there like when what's that douche from Metallica? Lars. So when Lars went after Napster for it, right? And he was claiming
now he's coming after us.
Well, yeah, whatever. I don't care. And how he claimed like theft, right? But like it's not really theft. Nothing was stolen, because if I take a song and I come over to your house and I play you the song,
right?
Is it theft? And you're hearing it. You're not stealing it. So why can't I give you that song?
You purchased the mechanical rights to that. That doesn't mean.
Remember the first if you show when we talked about copyright stuff?
Yeah,
that's what it falls into.
I don't know. To me, it's just like maybe I think too open source. But to me, it's like if I buy a song, I'm gonna play it for you anyways.
You're choosing to bring that copy to me to play it, but there's only one copy of that CD which is gonna leave with you. You can let me borrow it and I can listen to it. You bought the mechanical rights to that thing. If you were to copy it, burn me the CD and give it to me, that is theft. It's the same thing as like if I could. If I wanted to buy a car and we could like carbon copy a car just magically by like, and we carbon copied your car and gave it to me. In essence, I did steal from that company, because in reality, I should have just gone to that company and bought that car.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Isn't that the same logic?
Yeah, it's along the same line.
The design and everything that went into it. Because like that's the thing is like writing song and recording it, it's work, and it put people with their heart and souls into it. So the fact that like someone could just give it to me and I didn't have to pay for what they contributed into that, it's kind of unfair.
Well, this is why I kind of wanted to talk to an artist, because I don't believe that. So that's why I kind of wanted to talk to a friend that was an artist rather than some jerk off on here that get fired up at me. But that's the whole thing too. They were talking about how like HBO Go, for example, like the president of HBO, and this is where the world needs to go. Okay, so here's a good example, a little tangent. So at my work, right? Nobody knows where I work, by the way, so don't drop. But at my work, we have these coffee machines, these futuristic coffee machines. You walk in there, you press 3 buttons, and it makes you whatever coffee you want, whatever, right? We had this, we don't know if he's homeless or what, but he comes in every day, and he gets his coffee, right? And then we have this family that comes in every day, and this family gets their coffee from us every day, right? It's just something they do. They know we got the free coffee machine. So we went up to our owner, and we were like, hey, like, we don't want these people coming in here. What should we do? And he goes, let them come in. And we're like, what do you mean? And he goes, that coffee cost me 2 cents to fill up that cup of coffee. And he goes, but if I got people coming in here, bringing their family in here, telling their friends about us, you know what I mean? He's like, eventually someone's going to, someone's going to buy something. If you get enough people in here, someone's going to buy something eventually. Exactly. And it's costing me, 2-3 cents a cup of coffee, whatever. And like, I remember my direct superior was kind of like, wow. I never looked. I looked at it, some homeless guy coming in here, but if it's
like the cheapest advertisement you could have.
That's what I'm saying. We never looked at it like that, and that's what's kind of cool about the CEO of HBO had just announced that he was like, please share your HBO Go passwords, like share your HBO Go accounts. He was telling people to do it because eventually, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because only one person can be on HBO Go at a time. Yeah, so if I share it with you, and we both want to watch something, and I've got you hooked and I'm hooked, eventually I'm going to go, okay, man, you got your taste. It's $14.99 a month. Pay for your own HBO Go. Right. And you're going to do it because you already know you like it. And it's like, it's like drugs.
Well, let me flip it on you then. So, like, this podcast you guys had to buy equipment. It takes your time up, right?
Right.
And let's say this was your only means of living, and then you found out people were listening for free, basically. Wouldn't that upset you? Because they're listening for free and they're never at any point have the incentive to actually pay for this podcast. And I'm not saying it's like right or wrong, but because you guys put so much work into it and it's not something, I feel like people don't appreciate, like that car example. Like that car took time to design,
Well, that's but see, I'm a firm believer in that this podcast should be free. Because
you're never gonna have to pay to listen to the podcast if you feel that the the goodness of your heart that you want to donate
support
to
us, that's a different story. But no, but like for example, there's certain podcasters out there like I know that there's Joey Diaz. That's always on. He's one of like Joe Rogan's best friends, and he does a bunch of. He has his own podcast, and it's like $6.99 an episode if you want to listen to his podcast. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like it'll be a cold day in hell.
That's a growing trend too, and actually YouTube is going to start doing a paid subscription service also
for no advertisements. But that's what and that's another thing too that I can't stand about podcasts. It's like, let's just say in the future we start getting sponsors, which is we hope it will happen eventually. If anybody out there wants to sponsor us, whiskeyBabble@gmail.com. Send us an email. But like the people that like actually pause their podcasts for a commercial break, like Chael Sonnen does it, and I'm like, it drives me ape shit. I'm like, dude,
I know.
I'm listening to this free pod. I understand the reason it's free is because you have sponsors. I get it, but it's like, dude, like Rogan, for example, or like
at the beginning.
He was peddling Fleshlight.
What
for a while?
For a while, but I'm saying they do it before the show and after the show, not in between the show, because I think it's kind of rude to the listeners if you're gonna listen.
But it's their podcast.
It's
I get it. It's intellectual freedom and it's the artist's expression and blah blah blah.
I feel that it's fine if you're
cheapens the podcast though. It's
I think it does.
It's like I'm trying to sell my wares to you. Like
and
all right, I already got you for 30 minutes now. Okay, let me pause for a 2-minute break while I peddle my wares. Like it's just.
I think it's good. I think it's like it's a business agreement. I know you're a capitalist. You believe
big time.
We're capitalists in nature. So my point was, you put effort into something, you want reward for it. Very rarely do people want to put something into it and give it out for free. I'm not saying like that's wrong, but if someone wants to get paid for something for effort and time they put into it, I think it's wrong for people to steal it. Because they don't see the force. They don't see that people. It takes time. Like all this equipment you guys bought.
Agreed.
And it goes back to music. Like writing the song, recording it costs money. Putting it out, all this stuff costs money. And then for some like person just to steal it, it's kind of.
But I guess what makes me pissed off is the whole idea of like someone like Lars, who's got a net worth of $150 million,
right?
Bitching about pennies
from. Yeah, and that's what Hetfield said. The singer guitar player is like, dude, we make most of our money from shirts and touring anyway.
So that is why a concert shirt is $65.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Making sure.
That's what they make all their money.
I'd rather go find that shit on Amazon. Like go on with my life.
I'm pretty sure Hetfield was telling Lars like, dude, the record company's the ones getting fucked over on this Napster shit. Like we're losing a very small percentage. I think that's what the argument was. But there are some artists who are against iTunes. Like, the Beatles weren't on iTunes for like a really long time.
Well, Michael Jackson owned the majority of the rights to Beatles songs. And I think I think after he passed away, they started selling his estate.
That's probably what it was.
And that's when we started to see songs come on to.
Who else? Like Garth Brooks isn't on iTunes.
Big time. He does his own entire you can only buy Garth Brooks music through his website.
And I forget the other guys, but they're saying that bigger artists lose money on iTunes for some reason. I don't know what the logic is, but some people are like against it.
Really? See, I personally, I think it's brilliant, and I think
it's good. Well, as an artist, an upcoming artist, it's amazing because, like I was saying before, record companies had the power to put you on the radio, like have all those connections. Now you can make your own connections.
But see, when it comes to like, okay, here's a prime example. Like back in the day, I used to use LimeWire.
Yeah.
Right, which LimeWire was like Napster, but it was peer to peer.
Like the post.
Unlike Napster, which was like a direct download from someone, it was like it kind of started like BitTorrenting. It kind of brought in BitTorrenting.
Yeah, it was like the precursor to
BitTorrents. And see the difference just for our listeners out there. When you do like a direct download like Napster, Dave would put a song on, and I would directly download it from Dave. So it was really easy to know who the hell posted it and who the hell was downloading it. When it comes to BitTorrenting,
real quick, when you used the Napster, did people troll you? And they would let you download the song, and then right before you got to 100%, they would cancel it.
No, I would get advertisements. I would get like if I was downloading an Eminem song, it'd be like, oh, I want to download a new Eminem song. I would download it and play it, and it'd be like, this is an advertisement, or like stealing is wrong. Stealing is wrong for like 10 minutes. I was like, oh, damn it, this is not what I wanted.
Not again.
Real quick too, because I use Napster, and this is why I like Napster. I would pick like 3 songs from a band, and if I liked those 3 songs, I would go buy their album. And I would never have learned of those bands otherwise.
Okay, that's where I was going. That's where I was going with this. So when I was using LimeWire back in the day, and I was really into hardcore music. Remember, I went through my phase. But I would find a lot of new artists, and I would be like, okay, cool. I like this artist. Oh, they're playing at Chain Reaction on Tuesday night. Cool. I'm gonna go buy a ticket and go. And I think that's what a lot of like the forward-thinking, progressive like people, when it comes to the idea of stealing,
right.
I think that's how they're looking at it. They're like, dude, nobody would have fucking heard of my band if it wasn't free.
Exactly.
And like I got to somebody, okay, you could steal it, but I've never heard of that band. And now that I've heard that band, I'm like, cool, I want to go hear them now and see them live.
It's a good way of promotion. And also too, I've been burned by I have to buy the whole record, and there's one song I like, and the rest of the record is filler.
Well, dude, Chael Sonnen was talking about that on his last podcast, and he was like, or no, maybe it was Rogan. I don't know, one of those people. I listened to a few podcasts for everybody out there.
No way. I wouldn't have ever guessed.
Oh, it's interesting. It's better than the fucking radio.
Yeah, it really is, though.
They're saying that it's the way, like the radio's old news, dude. Like it's only a matter of time before there's no more K-Rock and shit.
I didn't start listening to podcasts until you really started talking about it. Like right before we started doing this.
And then you started listening to them.
Now that's basically all I listen to.
I'm still drinking. What are you doing?
I haven't seen you take any sips from this.
I've been drinking this whole time.
Have you been drinking at all?
Yeah.
I've been drinking this whole time.
Oh, it's easy now.
He's a thirsty man.
I've literally been drinking this entire podcast. Dave just took my glass and drank my whiskey. Pour some more, dude.
This is a first on Whiskey Babble.
I was kidding about what I said earlier. Yeah, it's an expensive bottle, but if you want some, drink it. I don't give a shit.
Jake was crying earlier. So don't drink all my whiskey.
Well, I'm not crying earlier.
Should I be insulted? Do you think I could drink all that?
I think you could. Well, here's a little backstory to Dave. Dave didn't drink until he was fucking 42. So we can't.
I started real late.
When did you start drinking?
24, I believe.
Whoa. Yeah.
I started drinking until I was 24.
You know what, Dave?
I didn't drink though because it helped me get jobs as a touring musician. Because I'm not the best, compared to other guys who are really good. But the second I let them know, hey, I don't drink, and I like
label out.
Label out. Sorry, guys.
Oh yeah,
thanks.
I would let them know I'm not the best, but hey, I don't drink, and I'll drive late at night. I'd get hired over other guys.
Right.
Well, see, back in high school, man,
you're more reliable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we used to have these house parties back in the day. And, that was like the cool thing about our high school too, was like there was some very affluent people there. And when it came to like affluent people, the parents were always usually gone. So we had a lot of house parties in high school. I poured you some. Okay. And when we were at a house party one time, and Dave, we charged like what? Remember, it was like $3 a cup.
Oh my god!
So we made Dave sit by the keg.
I had like a blonde mohawk.
He had like a blonde mohawk at the time,
black shirt.
And he had his feet up on the keg,
and then a baseball bat,
and a baseball bat. Yeah. And unless they had a red cup, they weren't getting beer. And he's like sitting back there, like he's like reading Louis L'Amour, like.
I was reading something. Yeah.
And then people would come. Oh, sorry, kick the mic. Whoa, kick the mic there, guys. Hold on, a little technical difficulty here. All right.
And we had made a pretty good chunk of money.
People would come in there and he'd be like, "No, that's a blue cup. Get the fuck out of here." And they'd be like, "No, like they gave me this blue cup," and he'd be like, "No, they didn't. Like this is bullshit. Like go on with your life."
And that's the thing is like my sobriety actually, I would make profit that way, driving people home, doing that kind of stuff, keg guarding. Getting
a lot of times, Dave has saved my ass more than once. I will give him credit for that, where he's gotten me in a bed safe. More than once in my life, and naked. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that night. Wasn't there a picture
circulated of you and me in bed? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but you know what's funny?
I remember how it happened.
I vaguely remember that night, but it was like a really controversial picture.
Someone left their camera there, so we were taking pictures of like our balls and like funny stuff. And then one of the photos, we were doing random stuff. One of them was us like spooning in bed. That girl got the camera eventually, and they're like mortified by like all the stuff we put on it. She ended up posting that photo of you and me in bed on some site somewhere.
I remember it was online.
It was
online. And it was a picture of like, I remember like I was laying in bed like this, pretending to be asleep. And like Dave was like cuddled behind me, like with his face up.
But our shirts were off.
Our shirts were off. It looked brutal. But like, yeah, I remember that.
The best part is we didn't care.
Yeah, it's like, who gives a shit?
You're like, all right.
Well, fuck it. It's funny. But we were talking about that.
Sobriety, I didn't drink till 24.
You didn't drink. You saved my. I don't know. I was gonna go off on a tangent, but that's the worst thing about tangents. You always forget what you're gonna talk about. Okay, so that's kind of like where like my stand is on the whole like the whole illegal downloading thing, because like yes, I understand like okay yeah it's somebody's creative work. I get that, and it's somebody put a lot of time and effort into it. I get that, but would you rather, they charge and you're exposed to 1 million people, or it goes free online and you're exposed to 20 million people?
What you're saying is you're giving the artist a choice. Like, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want to be charged? Do you want not to be charged? The second the artist says, yes, I want it to be charged, then you shouldn't steal it.
But look at how brilliant. But like System of a Down, for example,
I get it.
System of a Down created an album called "Steal This Album," and they put the entire album on Napster, LimeWire, and all that. And guess what? It was their most successful album they ever had.
And you're right. It got a lot of people to their shows, exposed all, but that was their choice. If someone wants to be an idiot and wants to charge a bunch of money for their music,
so I'm artistically raping you? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying
it's not your choice.
Like I'm in that boat with you. I would rather have my music be free. A lot of my bands, I just hand that shit out, sell it really cheap. It's not a big deal. But if an artist chooses to charge a lot for his, I want to charge $100 for 12 songs, let him do it. That doesn't make it right that people are gonna take it.
Because,
I agree it's a dumb decision, but if people want to be dumb, that's what freedom is being allowed to be dumb.
Yeah, that's true. Because, for example, like Banksy, you know who Banksy is, the artist?
The artist, My favorite one is like he did a Pulp Fiction, Vincent Vega and Samuel L. Jackson, but he put bananas in their hands instead of guns. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Well, he did this thing. He just did a residency in New York last year or 2 years ago, and he came to New York for 1 month, and every day he did some different installment somewhere. And it was brilliant watching, like, it was a whole documentary about the day, and it wasn't done by Banksy. And
it was like some like gonzo gorilla.
Yes,
kinda
like people knew what was going on. And they knew, and they followed him, and they made this documentary. But it was crazy.
What does he look like?
Nobody knows. Nobody to this day knows what he looks like.
Wait, so I thought you said they were following him.
No. They were following his art and his trail of art.
Okay.
Because what he would do was he would go paint something. He would take a picture of it, and he'd put it on his website at like 1 a.m. And then by like 1:15 a.m., there was thousands of people around this piece of art, like admiring it, right? Yeah. And it was crazy because people didn't know what they had. So like store owners were getting their, like, they would go over and paint over their Banksy art that was spray painted on their wall. And then some people were like sawzawing it out of the concrete and like taking it because it was on their property or whatever. But what I found most interesting, because we're speaking about giving it away for free, was that Banksy set up like an easy up in Central Park. Did you hear about this, Matt?
No.
So he set up an easy up in Times Square, and he would sell his art, and nobody knew who he was. And it was basically, it said $20 on it. But if you walked up there and you were like, I have $2, he'd give it to you for $2. Yeah. If you walked up there and you're like, I have no money, man, but this is great stuff, he'd give it to you, right?
Wow.
And he sold like 50 paintings, and now each one of those paintings is worth over millions of dollars.
Oh my God.
And it was just like, because it was hand painted Banksy art.
Right. I've done that at shows because, you're trying to sell album because that's your gas money. So like, full price, like, and then some people are like, oh, give it like a couple bucks. Man, when those people paid full price, found out someone else paid it like $3, it will come up and like,
I want my money back.
Yeah, like what the hell? And you have to be like, well, that was our transaction. Like, that doesn't have any reflection upon what I gave them. But I mean, like, I was pointing out that's some like it's hard to legitimately do that sometimes because people get upset.
But that's the thing too, though. This wasn't like at a venue with like CDs. It was just an easy up in the park with like a table like this, and he just had art on it. And people would come up and he'd be like, yeah, it's $20 for that painting. And they'd be like, oh, I really like it, but I only have $5 cash. And he'd be like, all right, cool, $5.
Yeah, well, that's a better way of doing business.
But it's funny too, because he filmed it. And he would film up people walking up and be like, oh, this looks like Banksy ripoff stuff. And they'd keep walking. And it's actually Banksy sitting there, like going like, cool. Do you want to buy my art? Like,
legit.
Dude, it's brilliant. That's why I think Banksy's brilliant, but that's a whole different probably conversation.
Do you think graffiti is art? Because he doesn't own those. That's a debate. He doesn't own those walls.
That's why I think it's stupid for people to get mad that the store owners wanted to paint over it. That's the whole thing. People were like getting angry at the store owners. I'm like, no, it's not his property.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the store. No. Do I think graffiti is wrong? Yes. Do I think that it's okay if, let's just say, like if somebody spray paints a piece of art on the side of your mom's house right here, right? On the side of the ranch house. If your mom wants to keep it there, good on her. Thank you. If it gets painted over, then...
Yeah, but isn't it classified as vandalism? Because then my mom has to pay money
to get it painted over.
At that point,
it is vandalism. It is vandalism, yes. So do I... Yeah, I do think it's vandalism.
There's this documentary about... go ahead.
No, but I do think it's... I do think it does... If the person gets caught doing it... Okay, here's a good way to look at it, and here's how I feel like it should be looked at. If I get caught spray painting on a wall...
Blowing his nose.
If I get caught spray painting on a wall... and the cops come, and the cops are gonna arrest me. They catch me spray painting on the wall. The owner comes up, and the owner goes, "Actually, this is beautiful. I don't want to press charges. Let him go on with his life." Or the owner goes, "No, fuck this guy. I don't want him painting on my wall. This is bullshit." Yeah. Then the guy should go to jail. If he gets away with it, yes, he committed a crime and he got away with it. But I do think that a lot of street art is really bitchin', but I do think a lot of it's really stupid. So it's kind of like, what were you gonna say?
There's this documentary about the people who they love to cover up street graffiti, right? So they wake up early in the morning. It's their passion. They find street graffiti and they cover it. But what they found was they were their own street artists in a sense. Like one guy was a silver surfer or silver streaker, and he covered all graffiti up with silver paint because he figured that's the best way to do it. But then if you go look at the walls, you knew it was him. In essence, he was tagging.
He became himself.
Yeah, and then the ego started to grow in his head because now he was like, yeah, I'm the guy who takes out street art. But then he became a street artist, ironically, in his own right because he always did silver.
Well, I talked about it a little bit on the last podcast, but there's a movie called Exit Through the Gift Shop. And it started off with this guy that was making a documentary about Banksy, and it eventually turned into a documentary about this guy. And he basically loved street art. And there's a bunch of theories, and like some of the theories going around are that this guy is actually Banksy. And he made this whole movie about himself to kind of like, I'm right in front of you fucks, but you don't know, like,
which would be in line with what you're saying about
exactly, which is something he would do. Which is why like it's interesting to me. But anyways, so this guy would literally paint stupid fucking pictures, like take like a blank canvas and put like blue streak across it. And Banksy would endorse him, and Banksy was trying to prove that all street artists, and all these pop artists and everything, it's all bullshit.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and he was trying to prove this point, and he goes, "Yes, I endorse this guy. Please buy his art." So he's in this guy, no artistic ability, no artistic background, nothing. He was just doing whatever the fuck he wanted to on these canvases, and he posted them up for like $75,000, $150,000, and people were going in and scooping them up because Banksy put his name on it. Right. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like it was really, and Banksy was like, "I think it's brilliant." He's like, if some idiot's gonna come and spend $150,000 on this piece of shit, and like if you watch the video, he even says it. He's like, "This art sucks," and he's like, and if somebody's gonna come in and spend $150 for this dude's art, like fuck them. Like it's their own fault. Yeah,
what they want to do.
It was just a really interesting documentary.
What was that quote? Explain it. There was that guy who took those urinals from like a place, and what was the quote? I love that. It's a good point about modern art. Well, that he put like a bunch of toilets, right?
I know exactly the artist you're talking about. Yeah.
So he put a bunch of toilets in an exhibit, and then once someone came up to him and said, "I could have done that. Like this isn't that artistic."
Oh, but you didn't do it, and you didn't do it at the right time.
Exactly.
That was on one of my podcasts. Yeah.
I think that's the only way like a modern or good pop art is that sometimes something is just relevant and just good.
Well, I was telling Kevin, there's the dude that canned his shit.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
But nobody knows because it ruins it. So nobody's opened one because they bought it for $250,000. So nobody's opened it to know if there's shit in it or not. Like I'd put like an LOL JK, like there's a note in there.
We should scoop some of this up and maybe try that out.
Sell it as official whiskey Babble.
Shit.
Well, there was like Cards for Humanity. Did you see that Cards for Humanity thing where they're like, we're selling a new game called Bullshit? And they only sold it for one day. And they're like, if you open up this box, it is literally filled with bullshit.
Oh, they beat us to it.
And like, but they'd posted it. They're like, this is bullshit. Warning, this is actual bullshit. Like they kept like whatever. They sold like millions and millions of copies of this game in one day. And people were getting the boxes and pissed off because they're opening them up. And there's a big bullshit, like a big cow shit in the box. And Cards for Humanity was like, we told you. Like, you know what I mean? Like
that had to come bite them back in the ass.
No, I don't think it did because they had it. It was right there. Like they were covered. And Cards for Humanity.
Were people like impulse buying it then? Just like, oh hey, like.
No, I'm sure people thought they were joking because Cards for Humanity is like a big joke game. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, oh, this is funny.
Yeah,
like,
and they have 5 or 6 different expansion packs and.
Oh yeah, it's successful, but there's also like have you seen those websites like Ship a Dick? Have you seen that? Like if you don't like someone, you can pay $15 and like a big 10x10 dick gets shipped to them wherever they want. I can
do that myself for cheaper.
Well, yeah, but there's also like there's also one where like you ship them and like it says eat a bag of dicks and it's a bag full of gummy dicks and I'm like I kind of want someone to do that to me like because I love gummy bears.
Yeah.
Or like the glitter bomb.
You're pretty lazy. Like I like pranks and I feel like you're pretty lazy. You have to pay someone else to do that.
Well, have you seen the only one that I really like is the glitter bomb one. Have you seen that one?
Oh, but that's cheap as hell. I could. How hard is it to get fucking glitter, put in an envelope?
No, but it's spring loaded. So like it comes in like a tube, like a parcel tube. So you think you're getting like paper, and you open it up and it blows glitter in your face.
That's a little better.
Like, better, and it's like $10, and you can blow glitter in someone's face. Like it's fucked up, but it's funny. Like,
that's better, but yeah, okay, I could see that the spring loaded.
But yeah, so back to touring. So we did the touring. Jiu-Jitsu. What are your thoughts of like? So I was listening to. For anybody out there that doesn't know, jiu-jitsu is a very like controversial topic with a lot of different factions in the jiu-jitsu world.
Yeah.
Some people think it's okay to do this. Some people think it's okay to do that. It's stupid to do this. It's okay to do that. And like the big debate right now is like the point system. So a lot of people think that a lot of academies train their students based on points. You go in there and I want you to score as many points as possible to win the competition and get the medal. Now there's the old school thought that goes points are fucking retarded.
Yeah.
You go in there and submit the fucker or lose. Like you got two options, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was listening to an interview with Hickson, and Hickson was actually talking about how he's trying to start Hickson Gracie for everybody out there. World famous pioneer in the jiu-jitsu world. Brilliant. I think he's what, like
all
400?
All the Gracies agree that he's
the best. He's like 465-0.
Yeah.
Or some crazy record.
Yeah.
Like some.
That's wild.
Yeah, some unbelievable record. And Hickson was the one that walked into the tournament and said, "I'm only going to do collar chokes." Wasn't that him or?
No, that was Hodger.
Oh yeah, one of his brother or his cousin or.
Well, real quick though, do you think it's right to like omit because we would say Roger, but in Portuguese we're supposed to say Hodger. Is it? This is like a broader question. Like, if I want to say a foreign name with an American or English accent, is that disrespectful?
No. Okay, now don't get me started on this because this is going to be a good tangent here.
That's what I'm saying, though.
But like when you walk up to
I just caught myself saying Roger, and I was like, wait, is it? If I want to say Roger, is that
like
wrong?
if I walk up to someone, okay, here's something that really gets me too because I'm glad you brought it up. When you walk up to someone and their name is Lisa and it's spelled Lisa and they go, "Oh no, it's pronounced Liza." I'm like, and they sit there and they correct you. I'm like, "You're a prick." Like, fuck you. But actually, it's Liza. And it's like, okay, just go with it and go on with your life. So what? It's spelled Lisa. It's in our society to pronounce that.
It's known as Lisa.
Lisa.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Our society recognizes that name as Lisa. So for you to sit there and go, it's Liza.
How else is she supposed to eventually tell you that it is?
No, I'm not saying if I'm her best friend.
Then she'd have to go on her whole life.
No. If I'm her best friend, I know her name's fucking Liza. If I'm meeting someone right for the first time and I go, "Oh, hi," and I've seen her name.
Right,
hi, Lisa, or she has a name tag on.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Lisa. Nice to meet you. It's actually Liza. It's like, "Oh, fuck you." Like, you know what? It's something about that.
Okay, so let's say we're sitting here with like Roger/Hodger Gracie and let's
to answer Dave's question, I don't think it's disrespectful to do that.
No, it's not
because other cultures.
I'm not Portuguese.
Other cultures.
I don't speak Portuguese.
I get that side of it.
Other cultures with heavy accents mispronounce American names all the time.
Yeah, and if I was in their country, actually it's like David. I'd feel like I'd get slapped.
Like all the Hispanic guys at work call me Yake. You know what I mean?
You don't get mad.
Yeah. No, I'm like, it's actually Jake, you stupid fuck.
I don't think that would be disrespectful.
So you're sitting here with like Hodger Gracie, right? And let's strip away the fact that he could like tear off her limbs at any point if he wanted to. And he tells you like, "Hey, I know it's pronounced in English Roger, but it just makes as friends, I would like you if you called me Hodger."
That's different.
Okay.
That's different than what I'm saying. If somebody
Jake's talking about when they're condescending about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually Hodger.
Then after that point, you would call them what they wanted to be called.
Yes, but I'm saying if somebody addresses, "Hey man, I know like there's a cultural difference here, but it's actually Hodger," I'd be like, "Oh, okay, like it's Hodger." But the thing that gets me about like Portuguese too is like in the middle of their name, if there's an R in the middle of their name, it's still pronounced like an R. Like Kron.
Okay, but English is like known as being the most like stupid asinine language.
But like Kron Gracie is Kron Gracie. He's not Khan.
Yeah.
You know, it's not pronounced as an H.
What's Khan?
Khan.
Yeah.
What's your name? Khan.
Like, I'm not fucking with you.
Yeah. Hey, easy, bro.
Khan.
But anyways, he was talking about the jiu-jitsu rules, and I believe that, dude. Like after somebody, because you're 4-stripe purple, I'm 4-stripe blue. So for anybody out there, Dave's a full belt ahead of me, basically, and which means he's got a lot more experience. He actually teaches me a lot. It's actually it's a learning experience when I roll with Dave. But I'm trying to, I'm stroking you, bro. I give you the greatest intro of any guest we've had yet. You should be like,
no. You can't see from this table, but I had a large boner.
Oh, there it is, right there, dude. So Dave's he's. We're gonna do we plan on doing tournaments. Are you doing a tournament this year?
I don't like tournaments, dude. The ones I've done
because of the rules. I think the rules are ridiculous.
Yeah. If someone's trying to stall, you should be.
Okay, I think we're back.
We're back?
We're back.
Okay. All right, sorry guys, we had a little technical difficulty there. So there's Dave's burp.
There it
is. So basically, when it comes to like the points and the tournaments and everything like that, I'm a firm believer in like, and I understand because there's so many people competing, there has to be rules. I get that. But to me, it's like
it has to be winner or loser.
If I had my like druthers, I would say, okay, cool. We're gonna put 2 guys out there, and they're gonna go until somebody submits somebody. But they have to be moving. But there has to be rules. They have to be moving.
I think what they're thinking about is from a spectator perspective. No one wants to watch an hour-long fight of 2 guys, like, because then they start gaming the system as like, okay, there's no time limit. I'm just gonna wear this guy out. Like, if you ever saw Sakuraba versus Royce Gracie, interesting fight. But how long did they fight for?
Like 4 hours or something, wasn't it?
No, I think it was like. A typical MMA match nowadays, 15 minutes. I think they fought for like an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because Pride had no time.
For this particular match, there was no time. And so then you just have 2 guys going really, really...
For an hour and a half, they fought each other.
That's a long time.
There's a whole... I mean, I could go off on Sakuraba.
We've been sitting here for an hour and a half.
Yeah, and they were fighting for that long.
Sakuraba is Dave's favorite fighter of all time. So Sakuraba is actually called the Gracie Hunter.
Yeah.
Explain why, Dave.
Because, okay, I'll go real into the history. The Gracies at that time were untouchable, and they've never been beaten in an MMA. And Japan had pride in their pro wrestlers. So, like Stone Cold Steve Austin and like Ric Flair. They thought in Japan that their equivalents of the Japanese wrestlers were ass kickers. Like, if they really went into fights with people, they could beat anybody. They didn't understand that like wrestling was, I guess, like fake.
Well, it's actually called catch wrestling. Well, and catch wrestling is actually brutal.
It is.
But they've turned catch wrestling into a show.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's different wrestling promotions in Japan, and the one Sakuraba came from was a shoot wrestling, catch wrestling background, but not all of them were like that. Some of them were all show, and they really thought they were fighters. So you get all these wrestlers into the Pride ring with actual jiu-jitsu guys like Hickson, and they get destroyed. So Japan has no pride. Basically, their pride's been destroyed. Sakuraba comes in here, an unknown. People have no idea who he is. He wasn't that good in his wrestling federation. He was like a middling, like journeyman. And out of nowhere, this Japanese kid beats, I think it was Hoyler Gracie first. And that was huge. No one's ever beaten a Gracie, and he beat him with a Kimura. The same submission that their grandfather was beaten in by a Japanese guy back in like the 50s.
Yeah.
So if you beat a Gracie,
was that particular Japanese guy named Kimura?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. It's his move.
It's his move. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about. That was like a 4-hour match. It was like a 4-hour like jiu-jitsu versus like judo type match.
Are you talking about back in the 50s?
Kimura versus Elio.
No. He told Helio, hey, if this guy lasts more than 3 minutes, he considered that a victory because I'm like the shit, which was true. And I think he lasted like 30 minutes, but he was getting thrashed. And he was like amazed that Helio did not give up until his arm was basically ripped out of its socket.
Yeah.
Which he was still like amazed by. And it's like a tribute to like the Gracies' pride and how good they are. So he beats Hoyler, and of course, if you beat a Gracie, they all just come after you like an army. So he just knocked them down one after the other. I think Hoyler was next. They needed the 1.5-hour fight. And what I love about that fight is Hoyler was saying, I want these rules. I want to be able to wear a gi. I want it to be no time limit, no ref, no stoppage. And he famously didn't even show up to the rules meeting. You're looking at the horse.
I'm looking at the horse.
But I'm listening. Yeah, he showed up to the rules. He didn't show up to the rules meeting, and then Sakuraba was really mad about that. He was like, "How am I supposed to know about the rules are when you're asking for a special match, and we come to the rules meeting, you're not even there, so I don't even know what I'm like allowed to do." He later showed up in a diaper to the weigh-in and saying they're like, "Why are you wearing a diaper, Sakuraba?" And he's like, "Well, it's a really long match. I don't know, how long, so just in case, And so his plan was to make Royce quit. He's like, you want like no time limit? Fine, we'll go as long as you want. And at the end
so it was a fight of attrition. Like
he made it into that, and that's exactly how it went down. Then he fought Hyen, and he won by decision. Who was much bigger and stronger than him. And then he broke, I think, Henzo's arm. His
name is the Gracie Hunter. Like, you know how fighters have different names? See, I thought maybe this is maybe a good thing that we're clearing this up now for all of our fucking 22 amazing listeners out there. But
I think we're up to 30.
Oh, I think we're up to 30 now?
We're
shit.
30.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
But see, I was under the impression that Sakuraba would actually go into academies and challenge Gracies for their belts.
No. Sakuraba, actually, his mentality is like whenever he beats a Gracie, he shakes her hands. Like I read his autobiography. He just wants to put on a good fight and challenge himself. He doesn't really he doesn't like to lose, but very respectful. That's why him and all the Gracies are friends now, because they recognize it's like a gentleman's sport kind of thing. He didn't want to like prove that the Gracies were wrong or that jiu-jitsu was inferior. He just wanted to prove that catch wrestling is legitimate as a grappling art as well. Like it's on par with them. The Gracies took it as an insult that he was trying to degrade
and that wasn't the
their
case.
sport. It wasn't the case. He just wanted to show that like Japan had its own form of grappling that was good. And that was it. And the thing about Sakuraba that a lot of people don't know is after Wanderlei knocked him out twice, he went to Brazil and that became his new camp. So his training camps, he'd go for 12 to 15 weeks to Brazil and work at shoot box. And he admitted, you know what, the Brazilians' way of training is much better than the Japan's way. And he symbolically earned a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And not a lot of people know that. And that's why the Gracies and a lot of people don't hold anything against him, is because he was humble enough to say, you know what, the Brazilians train a little bit better than what I am. And he became a Brazilian fighter, technically. And so when he fought Ken Shamrock, he had been training in Brazil, and he knocked him out in like the first round.
Yeah, it's definitely a different lifestyle down there in Brazil, man. It's like, well, you can either, you know what I mean? And I don't want to like make a blatant statement, but from my understanding, so this is for everybody out there, from my understanding, it's either like crime or like almost some type of fighting. There's really no other type of like.
Well, that's interesting too. So that's why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think, developed to a ground sport. Is because like in judo, when you take someone down, or Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, the fight's over, right? But you know how like passionate, like crazy, like they keep going. So I bet you like if they were doing judo and they go to the floor, they don't want to stop and they keep fighting. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what Hickson was talking about too in the interview I listened to, where Hickson was like, okay, he goes, jiu-jitsu is not a fucking point sport. It's a self-defense.
Right.
He goes, so if I get in a street fight, like, who gives a shit if I'm scoring 2 or 3 points? I want to know how to put this guy away,
right,
and go on with my life.
Which is a problem with judo, because it's like just because you throw a guy on the floor and his back hits it, it doesn't mean the fight is over. And like you're saying, the Brazilians, it's like you want to get him to the floor and then finish it.
Unless you're Ronda Rousey.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you find her attractive? What are your honest?
Or you know what? I'd be more inclined towards Miesha Tate.
Really?
Yes, I would.
What about Paige Van Zandt?
You know what? I'm gonna say it. I'm not into blondes.
Oh, Paige Van Zandt is cool. Google Paige Van Zandt. I would take
Miesha Tate over Paige Van Zandt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, to each their own, brother. To each their own.
I mean, what do you think? Do you care about like that, like hair? Like, are you blonde, brunette kind of thing?
I'm not really a hair guy, but like for like Ronda Rousey, for some reason
she's attractive.
I find her super attractive.
She is. I'm just saying I would pick Miesha Tate over her.
And then Miesha Tate, I don't really find attractive. And then Paige Van Zandt, same thing. Like little, like I just find her attractive. I don't know what it is. Yeah. My wife's tiny too, so it's kind of like.
Yeah, but you know, I agree with you. I like a woman who is like powerful and strong. I don't like all these like yoga chicks. I'm not into that. I'm more into a chick who knows how to like box or can handle, like, I want a woman who can like put me in my place. That's true. You're the same way too.
Well, yeah,
you want someone who can keep you in line. Every guy wants to be tamed.
Yeah, but I want a woman too that I would rather having a woman that could like defend herself too, because exactly. I can't be there all the time. Or if I'm there and a fight breaks out, let's say somebody's trying to attack her and I get clubbed over the head from the back, something that I couldn't fight. I want her to be able to defend herself. You know what I mean, and get out of it.
But there's something attractive about that. The fact that she's had that foresight to understand, like, you know what, the world is a mean place, and I need to.
Well, that was the whole idea too, behind like getting women into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and this is something for Matt because Dave already knows this. But like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you want the person in between your legs.
Well, you don't want to, but it's not a lost situation.
It's not a lost situation. So they were like, well, let's teach women how to fucking break arms and shit. Well, in between, while somebody's trying to get in between their legs. And there was that post. You posted it the other day, but
I forget who the black belt was, but he has a sister who's a brown belt.
Yeah. So it was some black belt in jiu-jitsu, and his sister got attacked in Brazil, and she was a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, the brown belt's under black.
Right.
So badass. Like, they're badasses. And she comes home, and she's telling her brother, I almost got raped. And he's like, oh, no shit. What happened? She goes, well, we can find the guy to press charges. And she's like, well, how are we going to know who he is? And she's like, oh, he's the guy in the hospital with 2 broken arms. You know what I mean? Like,
meaning, as he was on top of her and her back to the floor, she broke one arm. And as he rolled over and was crying, she
broke his other arm. Or she double armbarred him. He could have been
they could have been
like
double,
if you're going for if you're going for that rape choke.
I know exactly what you're talking.
Yeah. So there's a move that's actually called a rape choke in jiu-jitsu, and it's where either one arm right on the throat, one hand right on the throat, or 2 hands right on the throat to choke. Really dangerous for the person that's doing it. And you can actually do what's called a double armbar from that move if you have the right positioning.
You bring your legs up basically right under their armpits while your back's on the floor. It's called a high guard. And so basically you trap their arms and their head really close together.
And you use leverage.
Moving your hips up, you can double armbar.
The leverage on their elbows can cause their elbows to snap.
But I like the idea more that she
I like that.
armbarred him, and as he was crying on the floor, went to the other
just to break his arm, just to be you know what I mean, just to show what's up.
Well, you got to give him a match set.
Exactly.
So. Exactly. I'm surprised she didn't break legs and stuff too. I would just start picking that guy apart, exactly. Stomping on his leg and shit.
No, that's what I like is being able to, if you take it to the ground, if the guy's bigger than you, it doesn't matter if you know more. Yeah.
In the last podcast, we were talking about our last guest and how he almost got in a fight in a parking lot. And I made it quite clear, I'm by no way, shape, or form any type of jiu-jitsu expert. Even a 4-stripe black belt isn't a jiu-jitsu expert. But I did say that I have learned enough to be able to get out of a situation.
Well, just the fact that, if you got put on your back, you know how to at least get back to your feet.
Exactly.
And run
or get the guy in some type of a position to where I can defend myself a lot better than if I didn't know shit. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I just wanted to reiterate that, because now that we actually have somebody on the show that is a higher rank in jiu-jitsu than me to verify that I am not tooting my own horn and I'm not some jiu-jitsu expert or whatever.
Toot.
But you're good.
I'm not gonna beat my own horn, but beep. I'm not good, Dave. You're good.
No, you're good.
Dave is embarrassing good.
No. Okay, we'll end it. We won't go there.
See, he doesn't want to toot his
back
own
to
horn.
the Hickson
He's very modest.
But the thing about the Hickson thing is, he wants to go anti-points.
Yes, big time.
So basically you're neutral, and the guy who's stalling or doing things that aren't trying to end the fight, you earn negative points versus getting positive points for doing something good, which I think is interesting.
So for you, Matt, there's positions in jiu-jitsu where you can get a position on a guy and just hold him there. And if I already know I have 4 points on you, I can get this position and just hold it there.
And they're thinking that too because they have how many more fights after that? So why not save your energy?
Exactly. Yeah. So I can stall the fight for 3 minutes if I'm already winning in the first 2, because it's usually a 5-minute match, and win. Well, Hickson's like, no. If you're going to stall, you're going to start losing points.
Okay.
But then it comes down to being completely in the judge's hands. You know what I mean? And then it becomes this whole big controversy that whatever. But, you're always going to debate. And that's something that I really liked on Chael Sonnen's, Chael's last podcast, was he was talking about how nobody's ever going to be able to agree. He's like, so let's say you and I agree that, fucking From Here to Infirmary is the best Alkaline Trio CD, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Dave and I agree that, From Here to Infirmary is the best Alkaline Trio CD. Okay, well, what's your favorite song? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we can disagree on the song. Okay, fine. Let's agree. Let's say we agree on the favorite song. We get down to, okay, what's your favorite line in the song? You know what I mean? And it just, no matter what, you're never gonna.
The only thing I think messes with jiu-jitsu is the spectator aspect of it, because right now jiu-jitsu isn't a place where you can make a lot of money.
So you can't make any money.
The more spectators you bring into it, the better life everyone can have. But what spectators find interesting and what is true jiu-jitsu are so polar opposites. That's where we're getting
well, that's why it's kind of funny too, is people don't understand the sport. So for example, I'll be watching a fight with my dad, And my dad would be like, well, why are they just standing there? And I'm like hugging each other. I'm like, you don't understand, dude. Like,
tiring,
that dude is putting so much force on that guy's jaw. And he is doing so much to hold that guy there that people don't get it. You know what I mean? To like the average person watching an MMA fight, if both guys are on the ground fighting, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, this is boring. It's like, no, it's not. This is really fucking interesting. I'm like, this is what I look forward. In UFC fights, I look forward to them taking some of the ground because I'm okay, like I want to see that, but I guess that's just the different schools of thought. You know what I mean?
And it's like, to me, I know it's a strange word to say, but it's kind of like I like the romantic aspect of the sense that a guy is smaller and he's on his back, and then one guy's punching him, and all of a sudden he armbars him out of nowhere and wins, and he was in a bad position. That's why I like the Sakuraba Kimura. When someone has him from behind, you're in a position where everyone thinks you're losing, and then you flip it around and like win in like a split second. I think that's pretty awesome. Yeah,
that's a crazy thing too. It's just there's so many different ways to leverage the human body, and there's so many different things to do. It's a trip. Like I work on moves now where I'm like, wait, I can do what? Like if I put my foot here.
It's how symbolic it is though. Like you're in a bad situation and then
you pull
just
something
out
out
of grit, you pull something out. Like that's what I like. That's what I meant by romantic. I don't mean the fact that two men are close to each other, but you know what I mean. Like you don't have to quit because you're in a bad spot, and you don't have to give up. There's a way out.
Well, that's like the whole idea behind like the Metamoris. So Metamoris, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jiu-jitsu tournaments out there in the world. So there's this thing called Metamoris that they started, and it's where they take literally like the best guys in the world. They're like, okay, we're tired of all this bullshit, of all this, the worlds and all of the Abu Dhabi challenge. We're tired of the point system. We're tired of all this shit. We're going to take the two best guys in the world for each weight class or whatever. We're going to put them in the ring together, and we're going to let them go for 20 minutes. If nobody wins, then it's a tie, and you go on with your life. But if somebody wins...
it's legit.
It's legit.
So it's submission only.
Submission only. And it's funny too because they do stuff where they're like, and they'll let you kind of do what you're comfortable with. So they'll let one guy wear a gi and one guy just wear like shorts and a shirt because that's what they're comfortable with. It's really.
Are you sure? Oh yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah. They say, hey, can I wear these pants? And if the other guy agrees,
if both guys agree on the terms of the fight, then they'll allow it. So if Dave wants to wear a gi and I want to wear like my MMA shorts and a shirt or whatever, because Josh Barnett came out in like the
old school catch wrestling.
Yeah, because so Josh Barnett, we talked about it before. He's an MMA fighter. He is like old school catch wrestling. He like preaches it like it's to the choir. He's
the one who's saying it's better than jiu-jitsu.
Yes, he's the one that says if catch wrestling is used properly, it's better than jiu-jitsu. Anyways, so he comes out for Metamoris, and who is he fighting?
Dean Lister.
Dean Lister, yes, another just brilliant jiu-jitsu wrestling type guy. So he comes out, Matt, and he's wearing like old school wrestling shoes and like the bikini bottom, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, like Hulk Hogan would wear.
Like Hulk Hogan would wear in like the heyday, you know what I mean?
Well, you know, brother.
But that's like traditional catch wrestling like garb. So that's what like he came out wearing, and like it was, and he won.
Yeah, and the funny thing
he put away Dean Lister, and everybody was like, what the fuck?
He hadn't been tapped in 20 years.
Yeah, Dean Lister hadn't been tapped in like 20 years, and he got him with the exact same move that he was tapped with 20 years before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about Lister too, two stories is he wore shoes, and people are like thinking, why the fuck are you wearing shoes? Because Dean Lister likes to attack legs.
Yeah, so it was like grip.
Yeah, but he used it to push off his toes and put more pressure on Dean Lister and tire him out. And Kid Dale, an Australian black belt, he's really good. He was at the rules meeting with everyone, and Barnett's there. And this is how crazy Barnett is. They're going over the rules, and Barnett just raises his hand and goes, if I have my opponent in a dark mental submission, do I have to let go after the time limit goes? And the kid Dale was like, I'm so glad I'm not fighting this guy.
Yeah, like Barnett's crazy, dude. Like I love, and he's funnier than shit too. Like,
and he's he's a Renaissance man. He likes like Magic the Gathering. He loves to read. He's
he's brilliant. And that's too like like speaking of when it comes to Metamoris and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I was listening to them talk about like Keenan Cornelius, right? So there's this guy named Keenan Cornelius, and he's basically completely invented this entire new type of jiu-jitsu using the person's gi against them, right? And that's something they were talking about, where if you took the gi away from him, it's almost a completely different world.
But he's pretty legit.
He's good with no gi. He is, but he's nowhere near where he's at with gi because that's his tool. to kind of, and I'm not talking shit. Keenan's a great.
He would wreck us.
He's brilliant. He is so good. I'm not talking shit. But what I'm saying is that that's what they're talking about, like what Hickson was talking about with modifying the rules in a way where like it could make it uncomfortable for these dudes that have created their whole image around a certain type of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
The thing is, it's like he can do that. But if striking was allowed, which is why the UFC was born in the first place, I mean, jiu-jitsu is a lot different when someone can punch you.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's kind of, I guess the question is it still an effective self-defense, like with worm guard and whatnot? I don't know. I feel like if Keenan got in a street fight, I think he would whoop some ass. I mean, regardless. Most people don't know. And that's the point that they make about those high-level guys who they accuse of being point fighters, is that they got in a street fight, they could most likely handle themselves. Because they understand body movement. It's just a striking thing is like which does change a lot. Mm-hmm. So,
no, I agree, man. Okay. All right, I think I'm gonna cut it there. Okay. So we're at an hour and a half. It's good. Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being on our show.
Next time we'll do it again. Next time there'll be less horse shit.
We're gonna have Dave again, definitely. Where there's a lot we didn't touch on this episode. We're gonna have Dave on again. So, anyways, guys, yes. Plug party time. So we want So we want you to go to youtube.com/whiskey-babble. Okay, please subscribe. Tell all your friends. You guys, listen. If everybody out there got one of their friends to subscribe, we would have like 40 followers, which is really what we want to happen.
That's right. 40. So we would hit 40.
We would hit 40, guys. So no, but seriously, we love it, and if you guys want us to keep doing the show, we appreciate the views and the likes. Same thing with iTunes. Please go on and subscribe. There's also whiskey-babble.com.
Yep.
That website is all good to go now, so you guys can go on there and watch the episodes and stuff like that.
Are you gonna help me shovel all this shit up? Or?
I will help you clean up the shit, Dave. Okay. Yes. So we want to thank our guest, Dave. We'll definitely have him on again soon because there was a lot we didn't talk about.
Facebook. You didn't plug the Facebook.
Facebook.com/whiskey-babble. Yeah. Facebook.com.
Twitter @whiskey-babble.
Yeah. See, I don't. Matt manages those. I mainly go on the YouTube and the iTunes.
Oh, you're gonna. Yeah.
It's a good spot to end it.
And I'm getting off right now because I might get kicked in the face. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Dave, cheers.
Cheers.
All right, guys, and Whiskey Babble out.